Organizations and leaders have had varied effectiveness with implementing, sustaining, and impacting inclusion. In this Leader's Guide, we're going to be exploring diversity climate. After viewing this video, you'll have a better understanding of the diversity antecedents, the leadership's impact of the effectiveness and implementation of diversity programs, and how goals can impact attitudes and behaviors around diversity and inclusion and sustainable organizational diversity. To gain this understanding, we'll be covering the topics of diversity climate, identity blind versus identity conscious business practices, goals and diversity initiatives, manager relational values, and universal design learning. Okay, why should I care about this one? Diversity climate is associated with the heterogeneity of an organization, turnover intentions, organizational career commitment, job and career satisfaction, decreased absenteeism. It also helps counterbalance adverse impacts of diversity. And it also helps with organizational productivity and return on profit. And an organizational ability to recruit and retain a diverse workforce is linked directly to its ability to develop a reputation for valuing diversity. Diversity climate is the aggregate perceptions about the organization's diversity-related formal structure, characteristics, and informal values. It provides important information regarding the efficacy of organizational diversity programs by providing direct insight into the actual employee experience with the organization. According to the research, employee perceptions are a more telling indicator of the organization's actual support for diversity. Identity blind versus identity conscious. Identity blind solely focuses on each individual's attributes and performance. Persistent inequities with women and minorities pay have called the effectiveness of identity blind practices. Claims are based on impacts of implicit biases and that it provides insufficient protections against discriminatory behaviors. Identity conscious is described as a diversity-aware ideology. It is believed to be more beneficial than a diversity-blind ideology for racial ethnic minorities. Its better performance outcomes, more psychological engagement, inclusion and workplace satisfaction, more positive leadership self-perceptions, and reduced perceptions of biases and turnover intentions. Goals and diversity. There was an article published in the Journal of Business and Psychology in 2012 by Madeira, King, and Hebo. It was enhancing the effects of sexual orientation training, the effects of setting goals, and training mentors on attitudes and behaviors. And what they did was they had different groups of mentors with and without goals, and mentees with and without goals. They were randomly assigned to groups together, and over time they were looked at how this impacted the outcome of the diversity training. And what they found was behaviors changed but not attitudes for those with and without goals at the 3-month mark. And it wasn't until the 8th-month mark after the diversity training that behaviors changed as well as attitudes, and there was a more positive increase with mentors that had goals. And the key factor was the mentees did not know that their mentors had their own goals. So behaviors can impact attitudes and beliefs. And more on this, you can check out the Theory of Planned Behavior video. Manager relational values. Herdman et al. Published an article in the Journal of Business and Psychology in 2009 as well. Establishing a diversity program is not enough. Exploring the determinants of diversity climate. They found that diversity programs do impact diversity climate. Actual management diversity did not impact aggregate level perceptions, but was positively associated with effectively implementing diversity programs along with managerial relational values. And managerial relational values was also associated with the adoption of diversity programs and initiatives by the leadership team. And managerial relational values are the managerial attitudes related to the strategic importance of employees. In the mutual investment mode, employers invest in the employee in the form of extended consideration of the employee's well-being, opportunities for expanded contribution, career development, and employment security. And there's additional research done on sustainable organizational diversity that looked at how leaders impact change agents with the organizational culture as a whole. So that would fall in line with that manager relational values and how they behave and treat their employees and the activities that they partake in that represent diverse identities. Now we're going to take a look at universal design learning. The universal design for learning is an approach that can be used to create classroom content in grade schools and universities, or even in organizations that can help provide enhanced learning opportunities for all. The research used for these guidelines were from educational, social, personality, and behavioral psychology, as well as other educational and behavioral science research areas. It is a set of guidelines that help make the training or educational content with the lens of inclusion from culture and languages to executive functioning disorders. The UDO is able to provide learning to all by using the design process to enhance aspects of the training with varying ways to consider impacts on diverse learners. It consists of three main components: engagement, representation, and action and expression. And they're laid out with access, building, and internalizing through each one, and these guidelines can be used with the overall design process. Check out this video on UDL.